y'all? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to the relaunch of She Sound Off podcast and YouTube channel. I am Keita. I am your host, and I am excited for a couple of reasons. One, I'm relaunching my podcast, and it's going to be so good that I can already manifest it and see it. Second reason is I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone, and I'm starting my very first YouTube channel. And I'm really nervous, but at the same time, I'm extremely excited. My listeners are going to be able to, my podcast listeners are going to be able to put a face to the She Sound Off brand and podcast. And I'm going to kind of give you a little glimpse into my life, so to speak, while on my YouTube channel, I have different events I'm going to be attending, and just y'all gonna get it all. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm happy that you guys decided to join me on this journey. I know it means so much to me, so thank you for that. As far as my podcast is concerned, you still can listen to some of my previous podcast episode on any podcast platform like Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher forms. I'll have them below, the links below. So if you are a avid or ride or die podcast listeners, I love you. Also, another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try something different. And once a month, I'm going to allow my podcast listeners, my YouTube watchers, and my social media followers. So once a month, I'm going to allow you to give me the topic, and we're going to talk about it, dive right in. We're going to have a couple of co-hosts in the meantime, here and there. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about that because I'm really excited to know what you guys want to talk about as well. That's going to be called We Sound Off. So we're going to be sounding off to so many different things, so many different topics. The way I'm going to do that is if you have the Anchor podcast, if you listen to my podcast through Anchor, you can actually leave a voice message on there, or you can leave a regular message. If you don't, and if you're watching my YouTube channel, please leave a comment below. I'll be announcing that on the episode before, so you'll be able to give me your input on what you want to talk about, or you can just leave a comment on my social media platforms, my Instagram, my Facebook, all that other stuff, all that good shit. So I'm really excited about that because critics, people on the outside and your critics, they are tough. They are tough, and I'm ready to hear about what they want to talk about, and we're going to dissect that thing, y'all. So I'm really excited about that. What I want to sound off on this episode, I'm not going to take too much time because this is kind of like an intro on what you guys can expect on She Sound Off, but I wanted to kind of quick talk about growth, personal acceptance of growth. So long story short, this weekend I went to an event. It was the Minnesota Black Bloggers and Creatives first year anniversary, magazine anniversary. So last year they had launched a magazine. Shout out to Minnesota Black Bloggers and Creators. I have a link below for them too, in case you want to kind of get to know who they are. But so I went to the event, and I'm there and I'm networking. I'm doing my thing. I'm working a room, and I ran into a good friend of mine. And me and her was talking. We haven't talked in some months, so we decided to go off after the event and go have drinks. Now, this is one of those friends that is in my life for a reason and not a season, right? And I know that because I don't have to talk to this woman every day, but every time I talk to her, it's like time never left. We can sit, laugh, talk, and we don't talk about bullshit, y'all. Like, you know how you got some of those friends where you talk about Love and Hip Hop, Housewives, bullshit. You seen this one movie, you seen that movie. No, me and her talk about life. We talk about goals. We talk about men. We talk about family. We talk about everything. Like, me and this woman can talk. Shout out to Obi. She was actually on one of my past podcasts, and she's going to be on this season. So watch out for that. But me and her was sitting, we was vibing, and we was talking. And actually, I've coined a new word because of this past weekend. What happened? I've you know how you have friends and family members that give you criticism, and you have some people that's fixated on the bad criticism, and then you have your people that give you good criticism. Well, some friends give you both. They give you what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear. And those are the people that you want to keep in your corner because they're going to uplift you for sure. They're going to tell you the things that's going to make you feel good, that's going to boost your confidence, but they also going to check your ass at the door and let you know, honey, listen, this is what you did. This is what you need to take ownership for. You need to take responsibility for this. And I'm happy to have a friend like her in my corner because I've made up a new word and it's called friendicism. And she gave me the best friendicism that I've almost ever had in my life. So she said, I was watching you in this event, Nikita. You were working a room. You were doing your thing. Like, you can go up to anybody. You can have a conversation with them. You can meet. You can greet anybody. And you can look very confident and unapologetic about how you talk, how you move, the things you say. And you look like you enjoy it. And I do. Like, I love networking. That's one of my favorite things to do. But as we were talking, she was telling me that I don't give myself enough credit. So the good criticism was, hey, I saw you work in a room, you were in your element, you're a powerful woman. But the not so good, but I needed to hear criticism was, you're not giving yourself enough credit for your growth. And then so when she said that, I had to kind of take a step back and think about that for a moment. I am my toughest critic, right? I mean, everything that I do, it has to be perfect. If it's not perfect, I'm not happy. Well, my definition of perfect, as perfect as I feel like I can get. And if I don't feel like it's perfect, I feel like I'm not doing a good job. Not only that, I know I'm not the only one to do this or to feel like this, but we tend to, if we're not exactly where we want to be in the moment, we don't recognize our growth. So in doing that, I have been dimming my light and I have been mentally like playing down my growth. When I look back on where I was last year, and again, if you just listen to my podcast from February of last year, you'll see a phenomenal growth. You'll see, well, you can probably hear my voice and I'm more confident, that I'm more happy with it. Like, I had to have my friend sit down and tell me that and give me the best friendicism that I've ever heard in my life, that literally, like, honey, you're phenomenal and you're not giving yourself enough credit. And she gave me this, it was almost like a speech about like how much I've grown and how phenomenal I am. And I appreciated it so much. I mean, me and this woman, we cried, we laughed, we drank, took a couple shots. But I needed to hear that. I needed for somebody on the outside to be able to say, honey, where you were last year and where you are now, you've grown so much. And it's hard for me to look myself in a mirror and actually say that to myself and believe it. It sometimes it takes for a person who has sincere, deep, real, authentic love for you to tell you the things that you can't tell yourself that you need to hear. And I'm so glad I have people like that in my corner. A little advice to everybody: you need to start identifying who those people are in your corner. Start identifying those people and start, I don't want to say like cutting people off, because, you know, I think that's overrated. Cutoff season and all that, that's overrated. You don't really have to cut people off unless they've harmed you. Then you definitely should cut them off. But start putting everybody in position. Position everybody in your life. I'll say it that way. Start positioning everybody and realize what they are in your life for. We all use each other. Some people use people in a negative way. Some people use people in a positive way. But if you're going to have people in your corner, they definitely 100% always need to have a purpose. My good friend, she was brought into my life for that reason, and she's always uplifting me, and she's always giving me good advice. And this time, this advice was something that I didn't even see coming. So I wanted to kind of, jump off, she sound off with that. This is sort of the beginning of the year. It's still February. It's the end of February. We're going into March, spring season. And I want to just throw this out there for everybody to hear. You have to always reflect. Reflecting is really important. Reflect back on where you was a year from exact today. Even if you can't kind of narrow it down to specifics, just look at where you were. Look at old pictures. If you're a writer, in terms of like, if you like to write stuff down, because I have journals and notebooks everywhere. If you had ideas, if you were at a certain place in your job, look at yourself and look at and see how much you've grown. And sometimes it's not in a physical form. Sometimes it's in a mental form. Maybe you're not doing the things that you used to, or it could be something as simple as, I used to enjoy doing this, but now I'm kind of not into that anymore. I'm on my business more, or I'm trying to, better myself spiritually, or whatever it is. As long as it's growth, is good. And don't ever downplay that or diminish that for nothing. Another thing that I noticed that I do, and I'm pretty sure there's people out there that can kind of agree with me on this or relate to me, is that sometimes, and I'm going to be transparent here, sometimes I look at other people and I compare myself and my growth to theirs. And I believe that's the reason why my good friend had to check me and give me that friendicism that she did, and let me know, like, no matter what anybody else is doing, you're on your own journey. Your growth is not going to look the same as somebody else's. What you're doing, and the things that you've overcome, is going to look different than somebody else's. And then on the upside, you might have people looking at your life and not even knowing half of what you've been through, and say, hey, they're doing so much better than me, and that's where you'll come in and say, hey, honey, no, like, my growth and my journey is completely different than what yours is. And once you start comparing yourself to another person's life, you kind of dim your own light, or you kind of like, shadow your own shine by doing that. I'm my only competition. My growth is my competition. What I was doing last year, I want to do something much better. And then when I look at myself in 2021, I want to be able to look at this first episode of my YouTube channel for She Sound Off, and I want to be at whatever number episode on my YouTube channel, and I want to be able to reflect and say, hey, I remember this, just like my first podcast episode. I remember that shit like it was yesterday, and I was so scared and so fearful, and now look at me. Like, I'm confidently able to sit here, talk to you guys with full confidence, and I wasn't able to do that shit last year. So don't ever compare your growth to nobody else's, because that's when you dim your own light. Mentally, it kind of puts you in a bad place. So comparing yourself to other people is the last thing that you want to do. Take my advice from it. Lastly, I want to leave you with this. Everybody growth is not going to look the same. And you need to recognize that. And I'm telling you this because this is something that I just recently, this past weekend, had to recognize about myself, was my growth and my journey is not going to look the same as somebody else's. Please don't compare yourself in your head, because you can really mess yourself up by doing that. I'm really good to have friends in my life, real people who genuinely got love for me and who's always there for me. extremely grateful to have listeners who inbox me, message me, and say how much an episode that I had touched them, how it helped them, how it influenced them. That's what I do it all for. So if something that I've said in this episode or any of my old podcasts or my future episodes, if it touched you, please leave a comment. Please leave a message. You can go to any one of my social media platforms. On my podcast, you can leave a message on there. You can leave a message on my YouTube channel. You can leave a message on my Instagram. You can leave a message on my Facebook. Just please reach out to me and let me know if it has touched you. I love to hear from it. So that's all I got for this episode, y'all. I'm like, as you can see, like my face is, I have this glow going on because it's been a long time coming, honey, and I am here. And I am here to stay.
And She Sound Off is here to stay. So get ready, okay? Because we about to do the damn thing.
That's it for you. Stay tuned. I will be here for you every Thursday. So I'm really excited. Make sure you visit me again. And that's all I have for you. Until next time, you guys, I love you. Stay woke and stay blessed. Peace.